Welcome to Drum and Drummer, a podcast focused on drums, drumming and drummers. I'm George Pickering and that's Ben Winty, and we are both professional drummers in this business we call music. So stick around and join us as we pass the time whilst trying to stay in time.
Is it on?
It's on, mother.
You and I did a gig together.
Oh yeah, we did.
On Saturday,
I was on
didn't we?
bass, you were on drums.
Classic combo. Because
Will there ever
it
be a
would have
gig
been
where-
silly if we were both on drums. That would have
Well,
been
it would have
silly.
been mental. Who are we? The drummers for Kim Wilde? Definitely not.
Good. Lovely callback.
Yeah, good callback.
Yeah.
Lovely callback. I'd say it's quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
They're up for it. You know,
Military gig.
Military gig, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
80s
can go
theme
one of
party.
two ways. Yeah, they can either be really mental because it's the first time the soldiers have been able to let their hair down, so to speak, or if there's some top sergeant, corporal person who's not into it, they have to be quite respectful. You know, it's one or the other. Either everyone's sat down, or everyone's up for it, and they're up for it. It was good.
It was good. And those of you might have seen the Instagram, the picture you took, George.
Yeah.
Great.
The accidental best photo I've ever taken. I thought, I look quite cool in this jacket. I'll take a photo. And there's Benny Boy in the back having a piss. So,
Classic.
great stuff. I do want to get onto our guest, but I have to say one thing. Last week, you were discussing charts and learning songs and all those sorts of things.
Big time.
And I don't know if anyone noticed, because I listened back to the episodes, and I just keep going, you know? But it's because when you talk about something, you'll leave pauses. So you'll say, like, when I'm writing a chart for a song, I like to make sure, and I almost feel like I have to fill the silence. But if you focus in on the it gets really annoying. And I was listening to it in the car going, God, this is hard work to listen to. So if anyone else noticed that, I do apologize because it's a lot. And I think from now on, when you go into, a description of something, or, you're going to be talking for a little, when I can sense that Ben's talking about something for a while, I might even just put my mic down and just, because I can't help it, I will just go, no, I know.
Right, well,
Yeah.
a couple of things.
So-
One thing, right. One, I do my tree bearding. Right? Where I like to think about what I'm saying before I say it, so I take gaps. If you think there are pauses in the episode, be aware of how much I've cut out.
Yeah.
It can be seconds.
The silence.
It can be seconds.
Yeah.
Right, but I also think you're right? You're doing it because you might think I might think you've fallen asleep because I'm boring.
And also,
you.
I'm agreeing with what you're saying.
You are agreeing.
I'm basically
You are
saying,
agreeing,
I'm basically saying, yes, I agree with that, but
Yeah.
it'd be mental to say, yes, I agree with that.
And I
every
think maybe
second.
subconsciously, because this is audio format, that you can't just be nodding your head because
Yeah, exactly that.
no one's seeing that. So you are demonstrating. You go, yes, Ben, you are the best. You are correct, and I agree with everything you say. And you're just doing that by going, What I might do is I might sample that and I'll just make a really ridiculous conversation. I'll take you out of the interview, everything with Bob, and all your things will just be
Yeah.
Anyway, shall we move on to our guest, to our episode today?
Let's move on to our guest. Am I doing it or are you doing it?
Well, I don't mind.
You left a pause, but as we know with your pauses, you might have been thinking. Bob Knight. Bob Knight is someone I've wanted to have on the show for quite a while, mainly due to the fact that a lot of people that we've had on the show previously have, perhaps got the gigs they're playing through Bob Knight. And I'm aware that he's, a fixer and an MD, but mainly a drummer. And I think there was just so many things to talk about, and I was quite keen to, ask about all of it, you know. And I think we were, you know, it was quite good that we managed to pretty much cover everything, because I didn't think an hour would be long enough. But, you know, we got through a lot, and he was a great guest.
I mean, he's a fixer. He puts a lot of bands, a lot of musicians on shows, right? And some of the names he's played for, right? James Taylor, Beverly Knight, James Arthur, Nik Kershaw, The Pogues, Bublé, Alison Moyet, Kim Wilde, Josh Groban, James Bay, New Kids on the Block, CeeLo Green, Gareth Gates, Will Young. He's done both of the Pop Idol boys. Gates, Young, it's insane, absolutely insane.
Yeah, it's insane
what he's done. And we wanted to find out more about the role he plays in fixing. He is the fixer. I just watched a couple of films, actually. One called The Beekeeper.
Okay.
And then there was another shit film we assumed was shit called The Bricklayer. And I was like, I think there's a Sky crime drama called The Cleaner. We need to make a show called The Drummer. But if Bob had a show, it would be called The Fixer. Let's go. Here's our chat with Big Bobby Knight.
I want to ask, first of all, about the role of a fixer and what that is. I mean, first of all, what that means for anyone listening that doesn't know what a fixer is.
Sounds a bit grander than it is, really, doesn't it? It's just somebody that fixes things, but puts things to, you know, solves problems, musically based. Don't bring your car to me, but that, you know, when people need musicians for gigs, for tours, or for recordings or whatever that anybody needs a musician for of any kind, then I am a fixer, is the person between that makes it happen. Often you find that people don't know musicians. I always find it staggering that they don't. But, you know, people will be like, "Oh, where'd you get a drummer from?"
Yeah.
You know, they don't know they don't know who to ask or where to go.
Is that as in like labels, perhaps, or
labels,
management?
managers? I mean, even artists sometimes. It's kind of astounding to me that musicians don't know other musicians, but you know, on a low level, on a rhythm section level, like obviously, if you need to book an orchestra, then that's more of a head scratch, isn't it? I can understand someone going, "Oh, I need an orchestra." I don't know where the fuck you're getting one of those from.
Yeah.
But if it's like, "I need a drummer," it's like, well, you know, have you got any friends? But I think sometimes having a fixer makes everybody feel more comfortable. It makes the musician feel like there's a barrier between them and label or management or whatever, so that they aren't going to get ripped off or not paid or, you know, mistreated in some way. And I think that the inverse is true, that managers or labels or whoever's engaging a fixer has someone they can say, "Look, we're not happy about this element of things," or "We are happy about this element of things," or like it just removes a sort of layer of emotion, I guess, so that, you know, if something, so you can say something to somebody without offending them, and it's not that rehearsal room situation of, "Oh, you're speeding up or you're slowing down." You know, it's more like it just gives everybody sort of a feeling that they're being looked after. And there are people, like, predominantly it is a thing more from the classical and musical theatre world than it is the pop music world. I think usually in pop music, it's kind of like someone will appoint an MD and the MD will put the band together. And fixing is more, you know, for sessions and movie sessions, big, you know, large ensemble sessions, you know, album sessions, that kind of stuff. I have crossed over from, you know, I do it predominantly in pop music. I do book a lot of sessions and things. I used to book tons of strings. They're not quite as fashionable as they were at the moment, or I'm not, but it'll come back around, I'm sure. And those kind of musicians are very accepting of having a fixer, and they know they expect it. Rhythm section players sometimes aren't used to it, so it can be like, what do you do? What's your role? But predominantly, that's kind of what a fixer is. You know, like, find the right players. Obviously, I pride myself on finding the right kinds of personalities as well as the right kinds of players. So, you know, because not everyone who's brilliant is lovely, and not everyone who's lovely is brilliant. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's kind of 50% playing, 50% hang, and, you know, bus time. And general behavior and attitude and all that kind of stuff. So by coming to somebody like me, that it kind of takes that worry out of the equation, you know, the thought process being that I use people that I know and I've hung out with them and I've played with them. So I know that they're the standard, the high standard that I kind of insist upon and expect, you know, from a professional musician.
As the fixer and the go-between, do you represent one side more than the other?
No, just try and do everything. I'm trying to get the best deal for the musician, because obviously I am one first and foremost. So that's my priority. But of course, you know, the management, a label, artist needs to feel that I'm supporting and backing them, and that they're paying fair rates and they aren't getting ripped off and they aren't overpaying. You know, and similarly, musician needs to feel supported. So it's a sort of a bit of a tightrope, because I need everybody to feel like I'm pulling for them. But ostensibly, I am pulling for them because, you know, I don't want anyone to get ripped off in either direction. I don't want anybody to feel unsupported in either direction. So it's never really any big issues with it, to be honest, in that sense, just so long as everybody gets what they need, you know?
Was it sort of like this might sound silly, but a conscious effort to become a fixer? Or was it sort of like, were you being approached by different artists and they say, we need a drummer, and you go, well, I can't do all of these. So
yeah, and originally I never wanted to. It never crossed my mind. But after I moved to London in 1995. I went to the Royal Academy of Music and did a 4-year jazz performance degree there. So I met a lot of great players, but I always had an eye on playing pop music and like backbeat derivative music, because I knew that making a living playing, you know, bebop was going to be difficult for anybody, and it wasn't necessarily my first main passion. You know, not that I still love jazz and I still play it from when I'm asked, but I also wanted to stay in London, having moved from Yorkshire. So I knew how expensive it was, and it was fucking expensive in 1995, but God, it's ridiculous now. So I knew I wanted to get towards pop music because I knew it paid better, and you had a better opportunity of maybe succeeding there. And I was more passionate about playing, you know, 2 and 4. So I kind of angled myself in that direction. And there were a few, I didn't really call them fixers, but there were a few people that were fixers. And I got to know them. And then they would call me and say, oh, do you know a bass player for this gig? Oh, can you recommend a piano player for this gig? And after about 2 years of like getting everybody else gigs and not being asked to do anything, sort of, that was the point where I just thought, I can't be fucked with it. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, there has to be a way to get people to call me and ask me for it, rather than to call someone else and then the someone else call me and then they get paid. You know, so that was really, it was more focused around me getting a gig for me than it was anything else. And then the first tour I did was not the best experience, but I remember thinking, if I was here with my mates, this would be brilliant. Why can't I book it? You know, so that was 2000. So that was when I started consciously like, right, I want to put these things together, because I want to have more control over the people I spend my time with, you know. And from that point, it was almost 2 years to the day before anybody actually asked me to do it. So I spent, you know, but the whole time I was gigging and, you know, meeting people and making new contacts and stuff. But when I, you know, from sort of purposefully going, this is what I do, and getting photographs of everybody together, you know, pre-email, didn't have an email address, didn't have a computer, certainly no smartphones. So driving around London, taking pictures of people with cameras that I'd borrowed from functions and parties. And, you know, they used to do those, you're probably too young, they used to do like disposable cameras. So if people got married, they'd stick like 10 on every table. And then at the end of the night, people would hand them in, and the bride and groom would get them developed. So I would like borrow.
I'm not that young.
Yeah, yay! So I'd borrow a couple from every gig, and then by the time I had enough, then I drove around in my knackered old car and took pictures of all the people that I knew and that I'd met, you know, and then got them developed and put them into a large book like "This Is Your Life" vibes, you know, and then tried to get meetings in person at record labels and management companies and show them my big red book. Like, looking back, it's fucking bananas, but I've still got it somewhere. It's massive. But that was how I did it, you know. And like I say, it was 2 years almost to the day from like taking my first meeting and hustling and trying to get it going, that somebody did call me and say, you know, could you put us a band together for this thing?
Who was it who called
When you say
Who was it called? It was the manager for Craig David,
nice,
or a lady called Sarah that worked for the manager, Colin, and yeah, it was just, and it was for a load of TV promo for his single, and then you know, I booked it properly, and everybody was really good, and everybody was really nice. I did all the things that I said I would, you know, that I could do, and then within a week of the first TVs happening, I got another phone call from another girl called Sarah. A lot of Sarahs in the music business. Kidding. And she worked for Warner Brothers, which is the label that he was on. And she said, "Oh, we saw your band and we really liked it. It looks great, sounds great. Can you come in and have a meeting?" So I went and had a meeting with them where I met the whole department for TV and radio promotions, which back in the day was like 8 people maybe. Now they don't even have those departments. They've gone, which is really shit. But so I went in and saw her and met everybody there. And then, you know, the next thing they called me for, they said, "Oh, when you came in, you said you knew about jazz." I said, "Yes, I studied jazz." They said, "Oh, we've got this Canadian jazz singer we've just signed. We think he's going to do all right. We need a band for his TV." So that's when we did Michael Bublé first time. And then I still book all the strings for his live performances everywhere in the world outside of North America, South America, but Australia, New Zealand, all through Europe, England and stuff. So and I've played drums with him, and you know, I'm on a recording of his, and that's a relationship that goes back, you know, all the way to the early 2000s, off the back of doing a good job, you know, for Craig's thing, then doing a good job for his thing, and then, you know, it kind of snowballed from there. But always nice people, great players, you know, people that turn up on time, people that look good, people whose instruments work, who understand how to behave around an artist and how to hang without being overly respectful, but not being too familiar. You know, there's a lot that goes into being a good professional musician beyond just being a good musician. You know what I mean? It's not just about playing.
Do you think new musicians are like, do you think that balance of ability, look, personality, is that something that just always comes through with the new generation? Or is that something that people...
I think the new generations are way more aware of it than maybe my generation was. And my generation maybe took it a bit personally and didn't understand why have you got to do this, and why have you got to wear that, and why have you got to look after yourself and all that kind of stuff. Because we were a bit more of a generation of let's get pissed and play. And I think this generation is a bit more, let's take, you know, because of Instagram and everything, everybody's a bit more... not self-conscious, I'm self-conscious. They're a bit more body conscious, aren't they? And a bit more, you know, like if you'd have said male grooming in 2000, I think a lot of people would have not know what you were talking about. Whereas now we all know what we're talking about, don't we? And everybody, you know, everybody knows about it. Certainly this, you know, this current generation. But I also think that this generation maybe has missed obviously I'm speaking broadly, like I would say standards maybe aren't what they were in terms of musical ability and knowledge and in-depth study, because a lot of modern colleges don't, you know, they don't offer that, do they? If I'm super honest, like I've been in and done master classes at places where you don't have to, you do have to audition, but nobody doesn't get in. And I think that, you know, if you can go to a college like that, be told that, you know, there's a great career out there for you if you buy the right in-ears and you get the right, and your tattoos are sharp and you've got everything and you look good and your gear's shiny. But if you can't play, it's not going to happen, you know. And I think it's a bit of a harsh lesson. Like when I found out, you know, some people go to college, never get a one-to-one drum lesson. It's always in groups or whatever. Then I think it's not good enough as a level of education, in my opinion. Like if you're doing a degree of 3 or 4 year degree, and in that time it's never, you know, you're not getting at least an hour one-on-one a week. I'm not sure how you can get to the level you want to get to. You know, I know there's loads of good shit online, and of course there wasn't before. You know, when I was at college, when I was 19 or 20, you know, there was YouTube. You couldn't see multi-camera angles of Benny Grebb's feet, and slowed down versions, and you just had to buy records and try and work it out. But in a way, there's almost too much information out there, and if you haven't got a good teacher to guide you through it and to inspire you and to make you think for yourself, there's a lot of gaps in people's knowledge. So I don't know. It's a good thing and a bad thing, isn't it? I think that people are aware of stuff.
Yeah, maybe it's focusing on the wrong thing, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's what you're saying about presentation of yourself is important, but it has to be second to being a motherfucker. Otherwise, it's no good. It's no good looking good and playing rubbish. From a drumming perspective, you need to be in control and you need to be powerful, which doesn't mean you need to be loud, but you need to be commanding and you need to be reassuring. Like I want a singer to turn around and I want everyone in the band to turn around and look at me and go, "Oh, great, he's here. I feel all right. This is going to be fine." Even if I'm thinking on the inside, "Oh, fucking hell, I do not know what's going on." Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah, definitely.
You want to put that presence out, and I think that a lot of younger, it's difficult to do that when you're young anyway. But there's definitely a lot of drummers out there that don't have that presence, that don't make people feel like that. And I think that if you don't, it's something that's really important that's missing from your kind of arsenal, for want of a better word.
Yeah, definitely. Before we get on to drums, I just want to ask one thing. You mentioned about a tour you did, the first tour, and you said it wasn't perhaps enjoyable. And you said, "I'm going to do this my own way." Was that perhaps to do with the musicians you were with and the hang? And
I wasn't playing. Do you know what? I wasn't playing on that tour. The first tour I ever did, I was a tech. The one I'm talking about, I did play on, and I was the only session musician. And it wasn't the musicians that weren't nice. It was just there were people in the crew that weren't getting on. There were people in the crew that were drinking too much to be able to deal with their jobs properly. It just wasn't a nice vibe. The energy wasn't good. Like two guys had a fist fight in a back lounge. And I was only like 19, so it's kind of vaguely terrifying being a non-violent man and a terrible coward. But being on a sleeper bus and like just thinking, if this was all my pals, this would be mega. It's like being on, but playing music, but but it's you guys know, like music's it's a weird industry, isn't it? Because it's probably, aside from prostitution, it's the only job in the world where you can meet someone and then in 10 minutes be standing in your underpants next to them, putting on your trousers and your white shirt or your black t-shirt, whatever, and be like, "Oh yeah, this doesn't happen in other jobs, does it?"
No.
We have no HR department. There's no upper management. Use no one to, if someone isn't looking, isn't behaving correctly, there's not much you can do about it, other than have a go at them. Do you know what I mean? You can't go and complain and say, "This person's bag is always on my bunk," or "This person's," do you know what I mean? So you need people, everybody needs to be in it together. And then you can, then touring is really good fun because it's intense and it's, we all love doing it some of the time, but sometimes it's stressful and sometimes people miss home and sometimes you just want to sleep in your own bed or cook your own fucking dinner for once. You know what I mean? Like it sounds like silly things to moan about, but if everybody understands that's how everybody feels and you can talk about it, then it's fine, isn't it? But that was what it was really. It was just nobody else there seemed to like anybody else there. Everybody was nice to me because I'd come in to save the day in inverted commas because the drummer was in poorly and they didn't want to pull the tour, So nobody was nasty to me, but it was just the general energy around it was just a bit like much,
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's move on to drums because you mentioned, wanting to go into the pop world in a way, the 2 and the 4. There's something my friend Laurie Miller mentioned once, and he mentions it a few times. He did a masterclass once and talked about meat and potatoes drumming. Just, that's all you need a lot of the time. Just wanted to ask, what did you mean by that? Meat and potatoes drumming?
It's just staple fare, isn't it? Pie and chips. You can't eat caviar every day. You can't drink martinis every day, though I try. You just need to do the basics really well, and then everything else will be fine. Like I think there's a real onus, and there has been for a long time, on like being flash or having chops or all that stuff, and obviously that shit's impressive to certain people, But ultimately, what I'm saying about making people feel good and making people feel secure, like the skills that do that are playing in time, having a good sound. Like if it's groovy as can be, and everybody's heads going, and man, this is fucking great. Like nobody's going to go, yeah, but I wish you'd played some busier fills.
Yeah, yeah.
That's food. That's meat and drink. It's just pocket making it feel good. I think the thing is, people think that they can think that it's easy, and so they that's when younger people go, I can go boom tits, oh, no, I'm bored, I want to go, but really they don't want to be going dum tit, they want to go making it groove and making it feel good. And then fills can come, can't they? Chops can come, because the repetitive nature of learning licks, or whatever people call it now, flow and all this other stuff, that's all learnable, isn't it? Because we all know drummers who've got loads of chops, but we don't all know drummers that have great feel and have great time. And it's kind of like, I actually think doing repetitive patterns, learning licks and stuff is easier than playing in time, than making it feel good, because it has instant gratification, doesn't it? Just like swiping left and swiping right and all that jazz. Like if you go, here's Mike Johnson, fill number 7, and then you do it for half an hour, and you keep ramping up the tempo, within 30 minutes, you've got like an impressive lick. And then we're like, fucking hell, you're brilliant. Oh, thanks very much. Like, I would argue that 30 minutes would be better spent playing the same groove at 4 different tempos, and really learning to lock it in and turn the metronome off and turn it back on again and see where you're sitting, and recording yourself so that your snare drum sound is consistent, that your kick drum sound is consistent, that your internal dynamics between the hi-hat, the kick drum and the snare drum are like super consistent. Like, that's what makes it sound good. But that's boring, unsexy practice, isn't it? Because everybody thinks I can already do that. So I think that maybe there's it's a bit lost.
Is that lost now with the younger generation, or is it like?
I mean, not the ones that are good, but just maybe the ones that haven't worked it out yet. Like, I think there comes a time where you work it out, right? And if you start when you're young, you want to try and do, you're trying to spin your sticks when you're 11 and all that kind of stuff. Like, that's what you think's cool. Like, blazing chops is, as a 20-year-old, is the stick spin of the 11-year-old, in my opinion. It's you're papering over the cracks. Now, if your groove's killing and you can play like and your time's sick, and you can do all that shit, great. And hopefully your taste valve sensor goes, I'll do 2 of these in a 90-minute or a 60-minute set. They'll pop and they'll stand out, and everyone will go, flip it out, that Phil took the roof off. If you do 2 in every song, it's boring, isn't it? It's the same reason footballers don't all do keepy uppies and step overs all the time. Like, they can do it, but it's not really playing football, is it? And I think the same with drums. Like, everybody's got those chops in their hands, but really, it's not really part of playing music with other people. It's more like, save it for a clinic or save it for big finish or whatever.
I've asked people this before. When you're playing, you're not thinking about technique or anything. It is very much just, you've done the practice and now you're on the show. Is it that sort of feeling?
Yeah. It's like, it's a conversation, isn't it? Right? You're not, I know sometimes I have to think about what words I'm going to say, but normally, you walk into a shop, you don't think, right now, look at the bloke behind the counter, say, hello, how are you? Are you having a nice day? Hello, how are you? Yeah, like, you know how to have a conversation. You know how to order a pint or a flat white or whatever you've gone in there for. Like, it's normal, isn't it? So if you've put your hours in and you've done enough gigs and enough playing and everything, then I'm never thinking right, left, right foot, left, right. Like, I don't think like that anyway, to be honest. But I'm not thinking about stickings and things. I'm trying to remember what the next song is or that kind of thing. But I'm making sure that I'm looking at her, that she's happy, that the band's happy, that that we know where we're at. I'm mostly just trying to make it groove.
Is that something that you mentioned about not being excited till after the show? Is that something when you first started doing massive gigs, it could become like that. You could get carried away with it.
No, I never really let myself get carried away with it, to be honest. It's not really my personality. And then I'm not really like arrogance and things are kind of like the least attractive qualities in people for me. So I'm very mindful to hopefully never come across in a kind of entitled or in a like, well, of course I'm playing massive fucking gigs. Like I'm very aware that I'm usually the other way. I'm usually thinking this is probably the last time I'll play in front of this many people, rather than I only play in front of millions of people. Which of course, you know, I don't. I do any gig that anyone asks me to do, but I just like playing, and they are exciting. But you usually afterwards, you know, I want to get through the gig go well, feel like I played well, which is rare, and then be like, that was a great gig, you know. And it's great now because you can find it on YouTube afterwards. Probably there are, especially with someone like Rita, there's a lot of people taking photographs, and they're all like, you know, their cameras cost more than your drum kit, so we're really like bidding around trying to take pictures from the stage. Like I always take like one picture of the crowd or of my drums or whatever from the stage. But they all look the same, you know, and I'm like, that was balls. Whereas, you know, if you do a little search 3 days later and just type in her name and the city, and there's like, you'll always find some great photographs and, you know, drone shots and all that. Like, you know, it's kind of, if anything, I'm a bit sad that I don't have that from my earlier career, you know, because the technology wasn't there. You know, I found a load of DVDs recently when I was clearing out some stuff. And I had to buy a standalone DVD player to plug into my MacBook so I could watch them. And there's loads of cool stuff on there. But it's like they only exist on those discs. I don't have any photographs really from that time. I don't have any. There's nothing on YouTube of it. It just wasn't a thing. So now I am kind of collecting like a couple of pictures or saving a few, you know, vlogs or whatever it is for my YouTube thing, but. You know, I don't really do any of that stuff. I do Instagram a bit because I kind of feel like you have to. Is that I don't know. Do you guys feel like you have to feel like it's got?
Yeah, I do definitely. As a youngish drummer, you know, have to just show.
I do as an oldest drummer. I feel like people, you don't post anything, and people think you're not doing anything, and it's difficult, isn't it? Because usually, the busier you are, the less time you've got to bother with it. And the quieter you are, I always think like if someone's posting loads, it's probably because they're not doing anything. Which is terrible, isn't it? But you know what I mean? It's like, oh, another day in the studio. It's like, hang on, let's be real. Like, nobody's making records every day, ever. You know, I have a nice studio. I'm really lucky to have it. But I mean, if I make 10 records a year in it, I'm exaggerating. Like, it's not. I think that's another thing with the sort of modern college thing that. People think they're going to leave college and then they'll just work 5 days, 6 days a week like their parents did at whatever jobs they had, but playing music. It's simply not the case. You know, there's always huge periods of downtime for everybody. There's huge periods of time when people think, oh shit, I'm never going to work again. You know, and that's why I've always said yes to everything. If I'm free, you know, and it's within the realms of acceptable, you know, vibes, then I'm in. You know, I have a residency in Mayfair. I do every Thursday. If I'm not doing anything else, I'm there. You know, I work for some different companies doing kind of like songwriting experience things for like corporate stuff. You know, I still do functions and things. I'll do bar gigs, you know, and like you say, then, you know, I'll go away with Rita and headline on a Saturday somewhere. And then Tuesday night, I'm in town playing to 50 people. Like, I just love playing. And I'm also aware that, you know, I have known musicians that I've called as a fixer and said, hey, you want to do this gig? Oh, I don't do that kind of thing. Fucking hell, okay, wow. You must be doing really well at the other kind of thing. And within a couple of years, you know, to a man, you get a call. Yeah, I'm really quiet at the moment. And I suppose I said, oh, I didn't think you did those kind of things. Oh, yeah, I've had a bit of a reevaluation. It's like, yeah, of course you have. Like, you know, unless you're in a band, like, a band, like who's too busy. I don't know anybody. You know, I think the social media makes it look like everybody works every day except for you. You know, and it's simply not true. But I don't think enough people say it out loud that you know, that there's a lot of young people that feel like they're failing and not doing well enough. Oh, you know, I've talked to people and stuff. Sadly, I don't answer everything that I get because people send me messages at least every week, sometimes every day. Oh, do you want to go for coffee? Or I'd love to pick your brain. And I you know, want to help as many people as I can, but I've got 2 kids and a wife and 2 jobs. Like I don't always have the time, so I do feel guilty about it sometimes. But you know, I have spoken to people and they're like, "Oh, I'm 26. You know, I feel like a failure. I've never been on tour. I haven't played at the O2. I haven't played at the fucking O2. Chill out. Like, you're 26. I didn't do my first proper, you know, artist gig until I was 26. Like, I think everybody's in a hurry, and I get it because Instagram's making it look like everyone else is doing it except for you, but it's really not true. It takes a long time to build up a network, to build up a name. You know, I don't just call people because I sent you a message on Instagram and I haven't heard from you. Oh shit, sorry, there's a couple of world tours coming up. Like, it doesn't ever work like that. It's very rare somebody calls me and says, you know, I need a whole band to start next week. They'll be out for a year. Like, things just move organically. You start with a new artist, nothing happens. You know, I've done loads of singers who got dropped, records that nobody bought. Like, it's not, I think people, I don't know, they just seem to think like, oh, I'll get a phone call and then I'll be sorted for, you know, for 40 years. And I know people who've got with an artist, it's gone really well, done 2 tours or whatever, then the artist gets dropped or changes their mind, and then you're back where you started because you know, if you haven't met anybody else along the way, you haven't got a network, you're just back to shit. Does anyone know how I can get a gig? Like, you got to be nice to everybody and build a reputation and build a network, and it takes time. You know, so I don't know if anybody's out there feeling like they're not doing well enough. You are. If you're making a living playing the drums at any level, by teaching, by doing gigs at the weekend, you know, and you don't have to put on a tie or anything, then you're absolutely nailing it, in my opinion. And I get the frustration that people want to play with famous people in inverted commas or whatever, but it's like, it just if you're making a living playing the drums, you're nailing it. So just keep doing it, keep practicing, keep, you know, being nice, being on time. Like, someone's going to get a break, and their break can become your break. Like, you don't have to be the person that gets lucky. You just need to know someone who gets lucky and say, oh yeah, you're a bass player. Oh, who'd you like on drums? Oh, well, you got to get Ben. All right, great. And then you're off. It doesn't have to be your call. It can be their call. But if you're not nice to people, and if you aren't nice to play with, and if your time isn't good and it doesn't groove, and you don't make people feel, you know, musically supported and they're having a good time, there's not Ben's name they're going to say. It's going to be George's name, or it's going to be my name, or, you know, it's competitive, isn't it? In a way that you don't. I hate competition, in music, but it's the nature of things, unfortunately, isn't it? Like, it is competitive, whether you like it or not. And half the time, especially because drummers are pretty much all cool and all like of a like mind, you're often in a competition with your mates, and that's fucking shit, isn't it? Like, we're always happy for our friends that get good gigs, but there's still always an ounce of you that's like, I would have loved to do that, you know.
Yeah.
But better that it's your mate than it isn't your mate, you know.
I think a lot of drummers and people listening would really appreciate to hear all of what you just said, because I think Instagram is one that
it's live.
It's it is, and you can go on Instagram for 2 minutes and scroll through everyone's story, and everyone's posted a story of the best thing they've done, and it's 2 seconds.
You know, I know for a fact there are people on there making themselves look busier than they are. I know for a fact that there are people on there who post pictures of things that suggests that today they are in a studio doing something. And I know for a fact that they are not in that studio that day, and they are not doing something. And that's their insecurity, and that's them trying to look busy. But I know it happens a lot. So just like everything in life, don't believe everything you fucking read. Don't believe everything you see. Use your own judgment. You know, people post videos, don't they? And they're all the comments, this is amazing, this is fire. And close your eyes and listen to it. Half the time it's shit, but it's not, but it looks great or whatever. And you're thinking, everyone's going, oh, you're amazing. And it's like, no, you know. And another thing that I often say to people that get in touch is, if you're a drummer, stop following drummers that aren't your mate, because they don't need you to blow smoke up their ass. And the one thing that they aren't going to book you, because they don't need a drummer. Who needs a drummer? Singer needs a drummer. Bass player needs a drummer. Guitar players need a drummer. Piano players need a drummer. Drummers don't need a drummer. So if you're a young drummer on Instagram and you're following 2,000 people and 90% of them are drummers, for me, it just makes me depressed. It's not inspiring. You know, obviously if I'm following someone that I think is a monster and they like do good videos about this is how you play this song, or like brilliant. But if it's just, another day in the studio with me, I can't believe how fucking busy I am. Like, if you're not learning anything from it, it's probably making you feel shit about yourself. Go follow a bass player, you know, and say, they're the people who want to hear your comments like, great groove, I'd love to play with you sometime. Or like, you know, or, you know, people make videos, don't they, where you say, you can play along with me or whatever. Like, I don't know if it leads to anything or not, but it has to be more positive and more like for your brain and for your drumming to be listening to other musicians rather than just swamping yourself with drummers doing stuff that you wish you were doing but you aren't. You got to look after your own mental health a bit with the internet, because whilst it's brilliant, it can send you into a place you don't want to be, can't it? And it's hard to get out of that. I love doing gigs not on ears and, you know, without, and not with my, you know, my kit's a bit stupid at the moment, but that's because somebody else sets it up. But, you know, if I'm carrying it, it's a bit smaller. But I'm in my 3 rack tom period. I'm desperately trying to be Jeff Porcaro. I'm failing, but at least my kit looks a bit like his. So I feel like that's as close as I'm getting. But 3 rack toms is an absolute vibe. But I am, you know, at pains to point out that I only hit one of them at a time. You know, yes, I mean, I have been rocking 5 toms, but it's just to give me options sonically. It's not because I want to play busier fills. It's just, you know, across a 90-minute set, especially with Kershaw, like there's, you know, because we're covering songs from the last 40 years that he's written, and you know, so I kind of having more drums gives me more options, but it doesn't make me play more notes. It's just selecting tones, you know what I mean? So I am still really like enjoy making decisions about drums, and I mean I've got loads of drums, which is great. Too many drums really, but can you have too many drums? Well, you know, my silly thing is they're all tuned the same. They've all got the same heads on. I'm like, probably didn't need to do that.
As long as you can justify it. Ben and I have been discussing like justification for drums recently, you know, and just like you can justify anything. You know, Ben recently, he's now up to 12 snare drums, and it's just like, but he's got a reason for every single one, you know, and it's like,
I think even if the reason is just that you like them,
that's reason.
Or that they look cool, or they make you feel, you know, some of my drums make me feel a certain way. You know, I've got a lot of the Yamaha signature series drums. You know, they don't make them anymore, do they? And it's a shame because they're ace. But you know what?
Have you always used Yamaha? It seems that's.
Yeah. I have. Yeah, I've played Yamaha since I was 11 years old. I've still got that kit, and I've got a 9000 from 1988 that my parents bought me when I was 11. That I still use that kit. That's the kit that's set up in my studio for recording and things. But I've toured it and stuff. I used it with Cee-Lo Green for a long time. I used it with Josh Grobe, and I use it on everything. The Yamaha gave me I didn't sign with them till I was 28, maybe. And then, I mean, I say sign. I never actually signed anything. They just gave. I got a TV show gig when I was about 26, 27, and so I rang them up and just said, "Look, I'm going to be on TV every Friday night playing the Yamaha drums." And they were like, "Oh, we don't really do." I said, "I'll stop you there. I'm not asking for anything. I'm just telling you, I'm going to be on TV every Friday night playing Yamaha drums. Nice to meet you." I wanted them to know who I was. I didn't want anything. I already had a drum kit. You know what I mean? So I wasn't trying to blag anything. I just really wanted, you know, I wanted them to know that my name and that I play their drums. And so after that, they did approach me like formally and were like, "Is there anything you want? Is there anything you need?" And so, you know, I've had that relationship for over 20 years. But yeah, I've always played it. I've always played them because you got a black 9000 with pinstripes, shallow toms, 10, 12, hanging 14, 15, 22 by 14 bass drum, you know, desperately trying to be Steve Gadd at 11. Now I'm desperately trying to be Steve Gadd at this age. It's still not much closer than when I was 11, to be honest. But yeah.
I want to quickly talk about being an MD, a musical director. I'm just conscious of time. Are there things that, because I feel like it's a job role a lot of musicians might give themselves without.
I think it's a job now that people want to do, and I think it's a job previously that people did because no one else wanted to do it.
Yeah,
That makes sense. Like I never really wanted to do it. Again, I just kind of fell. It fell my way because maybe I've got the loudest voice, and because I was organised, and people were calling me for musicians, and then if you're on the gig, then well, I suppose you're the MD. Then I was like, okay, but it's changed a lot from when I started. When I first started, it was really just organising the band because we weren't playing to tracks, we weren't playing to clicks. We weren't running Ableton or Pro Tools or anything. We're just 5 musicians. So it's just like, right, this is where we are rehearsing. This is what time we need to be there. Here are the songs to learn. I'm good at doing that. I'm not great with programming, and I'm not great with, I can push go, or not more often than like on a gig like Rita. There is a playback tech who organises all the tracks, who runs all the tracks. They run time code because everything syncs to the screens and everything syncs to the lights and everything syncs to shit that blows up. So there's, his world is very busy, and obviously, he's a king of tech. I'm not the king of tech, and I'm also not interested in being the king of tech. Like I'm interested in drums and music, and people. So I'm very happy to have someone else do it. I don't really. I mean, I am the MD in inverted commas, but really, I think of myself more of as a band leader in the traditional sense. And if somebody wants an MD for a gig, then I know people that are great. And if I'm going to be the band leader, but we need to do the programming, I very happily just get somebody else to do it. That I can sit with and say, musically, these are my ideas, and this is how I want it to go. But have them do the programming and have them build the session and all that kind of stuff. Because there's not enough hours in the day for me to learn how to be good at all that kind of stuff and run my business and have my career and be a dad and a husband and everything else. So, I think a part of being a good MD is knowing how to delegate and how to choose people wisely. And it's like, that's the whole point of like a management tier, right? Is if you're doing everything yourself, you're doing it fucking wrong. Like you have to pass the responsibility over to people and let them, like I would never, very, very rare for me to be in a situation where I would tell a guitar player what to play. Because if I've done my job as an MD right and chosen the right guitar player, he knows shitloads more about the guitar than I do. That's why I booked him, So, they might ask my opinion. Do you want me to voice it here, or is it better in this octave? But ultimately, I'm not going to tell them what sounds to use. I'm booking them because I like their playing, I like their style. So for me, being an MD is just about being the responsible person in the room, but also passing that responsibility out. Other people would say they don't do it that way. They program everything, they handle everything, they tell people exactly what to play, what not to play. I know, there are other people that do what I do who are very militant and will tell drummers they can't play fills here, you can't play fills there. They don't let the music breathe. Everybody's really just playing parts. You're replaceable if you overplay, if you, it's not something I've experienced, but I've heard about it from other players and think sounds shit. Doesn't sound like an exciting way to make music. It sounds like you're not being valued. Like we can get anybody to do this. Just play the parts. Stay in your lane and all that stuff. So don't know. There's a middle ground somewhere between it, but. Yeah, I don't know. And there's loads of great MDs out there. And also, like, if people are listening and they're thinking, oh, I'd like to be an MD, like, you wouldn't, I don't. Unless you're really passionate about about doing arrangements and all that. Like, at least 6 times out of 10, I'd rather just be the drummer. It's much more fun and way less stress. And your inbox pings so much, less. You can just, there's a lot of politics and a lot of things you have to get stuck into to be the MD on something. That is it worth it for the extra money? Yeah, probably, depending on how much more you get. Some gigs don't pay that much more to be the MD, but if your phone never stops ringing, you're like, hang on a minute, maybe it was better when I was just thinking about paradiddles and playing gigs, you know. So I don't know. It seems to be a fashionable thing for people to want to be an MD, but for me, it was just a way of being able to choose the musicians.
Anything else you want to talk about? Because I'm conscious.
Yeah, I'd just be quite interested. A little double header question. One, has anyone you've booked let you down? And if so, what's the sort of, how have they done that? And have you worked with any artists who have proved to be quite difficult?
The artists are never that difficult. It's usually the people around them that are difficult, and that can be awkward. You know, there's the bigger somebody is, the more hanger-ons there are, and they're always trying to validate themselves as to why they're on the payroll or why they're there. Everybody's got an opinion about the set list, and they really want to tell you about it. You know, so that drives me fucking mad. But no one's ever really let me down. I mean, I've been disappointed by a few people just in terms of their attitude. Often, not often, because it hasn't happened often, but the odd occasion where I might have got somebody on a gig and be repping them, and then they'd go like, I don't really want to do this to you anymore. Oh, okay. And, you know, so things like that are it's, you know, when I've made a call about someone, like, I think this person is the right kind of person that is on my kind of wavelength. And then sometimes people change, which of course I'd forgotten. You know, sometimes if you stand on stage in front of 20, 30,000 people every night, your ego can change, and that can alter your personality, and you start feeling like you deserve to be there and you should be there and you don't need anybody else. So like, but in 20 years it's happened twice. So, you know, it's not the end of the world. Like, you just have to dust yourself down and deal with the disappointment. You know, I'm quite emotionally engaged in everything that I do. So I do take things personally, and things like that I find upsetting. But, you know, it's on me, kind of, you know, all right, should have seen it coming. But no one's ever let me down. Like, I mean, a couple of, you know, somebody turned up to the airport with their girlfriend's passport. That was funny. Not that funny. Oh, mate, look, that's not you. Yeah, I know. I've got the wrong passport. Cool. Well, we're all going to Barcelona. You better get yourself there. A few things like that. You know, and obviously, I mean, I tell you, I had the worst day of my life on Saturday. I missed a gig for the first time ever. They shut the M4. I had a gig in Swansea, and it just didn't get there.
Oh wow!
Yeah, left it. We were on stage at 5:30 festival with Nik Kershaw. It's the first time in my professional life I've ever not made it. There was a vehicle fire, and it turned out to be a military vehicle filled with ammunition. Cool. So they shut both sides of the M4. So we sat on the M4 for 2 hours and 15 minutes. And by the time we started moving again, we would have arrived bang on stage time. So they won't hold the festival or anything, you know. But very luckily, my friend Phil, who deps for me on Nick's gig, was playing before me. So I was able to ring up, and this is maybe something that, you know, I was thinking we need to ring Nick, because I had the keyboard player with me as well. So we need to ring Nick and say we're not gonna make it. But before we do, like, just go on the website. Who else is playing today? So, because in my mind I was thinking, I want to ring up with a problem, but I also want to ring up with the solution, because a lot of musicians will go, I got a problem, and then try and make it somebody else's. Or you'll have to tour manager have to sort it out. You'll have to sort it out. Like, just because you say something out loud doesn't mean it's fucking fixed. You know, it's still a mess. And I think a lot of musicians are guilty of that. Like, oh, you know, they're just stupid sometimes, or lack of common sense, you know. So I was able to ring up and say, we're not going to make it, but this guy is there who's done the gig before. He's up for it. He can stay, you know. So it was fine. The gig happened. Everybody went home smiling, and except for me and Phil, the keyboard player. I mean, I spent 6.5 hours in the car. Didn't even, you know, to not play.
God,
it was awful feeling.
Yeah.
So that's something bad that's happened. Like,
yeah.
This week. Funny you should have. But other than that, no one's ever let me down. Like, just, so I feel like maybe sometimes I've made the wrong choice with certain individuals, like, but it's very, very rare, because like I say, I always use people I know. It's in one capacity or another. I always use people that I've played with. It's just, you know, sometimes people can be a bit surprising. You know, if some people, if they drink more than they usually do, or you know, because there's a lot of hanging out, isn't there? If we're on stage for 90 minutes, we've got 22 and a half hours to fill the rest of the day with. Sometimes you can be a bit like, I did not know you had an opinion like that. Wow. You know, but no, on the whole, I don't think anyone's ever let me down or anything's like, I've never had a gig like go disastrously wrong, or, you know, I've never had anybody get fired, or, yeah, touch wood, you know. Sometimes people change their bands, but I think that's just artists being artists. But, you know, sometimes artists can get nervous. And when people are nervous, they can be a bit snappy, can't they? And I think that it can be interpreted, you know, someone will say like, oh, I hear so-and-so's a right bitch, or so-and-so's an arrogant. And I think they're not really. They're all, you know, pretty much to a man, everyone I've worked with is really nice. But under duress and under pressure, they can have a moment, you know? And I think we have to be forgiving of that. I think if it was your face on the poster and your name on the ticket and you're signing everybody's checks and everything else, I think there's a lot of pressure on artists. And, you know, individuals, or if I don't feel well, I can't go, you know, nobody gets paid. So, you know, I've heard people say that, like, well, I'll have to do the gig. It's like, that's okay. I've never missed a gig either, but I get why they feel that pressure, you know. But yeah, no, I've been lucky, Ben. I think like no one's ever been horrible, and nothing's ever gone super wrong.
Bob, who's your favourite delivery company?
Who's my favourite delivery company?
Yeah,
they're all awful, aren't they? I don't know. I don't know who my favourite delivery company is. Royal Mail, are they any good anymore?
Yeah. We can do Royal Mail.
There you go. Royal Mail, then.
It's always a curveball, that last question, you know.
I mean, I know I don't like DPD. I can tell you that for free.
Oh, okay. Really? Is there a story
reason
there?
Oh, they're just fucking rubbish. Yeah, no. So it's a long story and it's not very interesting, but let's just say I did not have a good experience with DPD.
I mean, I want to know a little bit if there's a photograph of it.
No, it's fine. It's definitely one for the pub.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Right, we'll wrap up there then.
Where can people find you?
In the pub usually. Yeah, I mean, it's like we said, Instagram's what it is, but I'm on Instagram under Bobby Fame, which is my nickname, given to me by others. I'm not the self-proclaimed famous one. That's about the only place they can find me, really. I don't really bother with anything else. One day I might get a YouTube thing together because my 9-year-old's excited about YouTube, but for now, yeah, I'm on Instagram and that's about it. But if you're at a gig or something, come and say hello. I really like people and I like hanging out. I like meeting people and stuff. So, you know, I would hate for someone to come and see me play and not say hello. Yeah, I'll be out on tour with Nik Kershaw October. We've got gigs through the summer and I'm with Rita. Nothing in England with Rita. So unless you live in Bratislava or Slovakia, you won't catch me with her this year. But I'll be out with Nik from the 3rd of October all around the UK. He's playing, it's 40 years since his album, The Riddle. So we'll be playing the whole of The Riddle and we'll be playing the whole of Human Racing, which I think is 35 years since that came out. Great records. If you don't know Nik Kershaw's music, you got to check it out. Like it's, he's such a good songwriter, monster guitar player. It's a really good band. And the records are like Charlie Morgan and Vinny and Jeff and Simon Phillips. Like, you know, he's a class act on every front. But he really knows, you know, great musicians. He only booked incredible studio players and everything. So it's a thrill to play some of those parts. Can't play all of those parts. So for September, you can find me practicing my arse off trying to get it together in West London in my studio. But then, yeah, I'll be out with Nik 3rd till the 16th. I think 16th we finish at Shivers Bush Empire. And then on the 17th of October, then I'm going away with Gavin DeGraw, which is a tour I did last year. We're doing that again. So I'll be out with him. Literally starts the day after. When does that ever happen? Unbelievable. Wow. And that goes right through to the 11th of November. We'll be playing all through Europe and we'll be playing in the UK. London will be at Kentish Town. It's not called Kentish Town Forum, is it? Is it still called that? Used to be called the Town and Country. Yeah, it is called the Kentish Town Forum. So I'm looking forward to playing there. I've never played there before. So yeah, I'm out and about doing things and having a nice time.
What would happen if that Gavin DeGraw tour started the day earlier?
I'll tell you a secret, Ben. It might have done, and they might have changed one of the dates for me.
Okay.
Oh wow!
Because
is there anyone you haven't played for that you would love to play for?
Yeah, millions.
You've played for a lot of people, but who's your number one?
My friend Chris is on tour with Sting, and as we were saying earlier, like it's great when nice people get nice gigs. And Chris Mass, his name is, and you should check him out. But he's not like a fashionable drummer on Instagram and things, but he's a great drummer, and he's having the time of his life. They're just a trio. So it's just Sting, Dominic Miller, and Chris. So I'm as jealous as I am happy. But I would love to have played with him. Prince, I would have loved to have played with. You know, there's loads of people that I'd love to play with. There's loads of people that I haven't played with. But that's what makes it exciting, right? Keep playing and keep seeing what new opportunities come up. You know, I hadn't played with Gavin until last year. That turns out that was like one of the most fun tours I've ever done. No tracks or anything, just 5 guys playing music. I did a gig with Pixie Lott last week. Same thing there, no tracks. So it's so free. You sort of forget what it's like to play music without clicks and tracks. You're like, and then when you do it, you're like, oh yeah, this is actually way better. This is so much more real. It sounds better. You know, it's coming back around. Like it's fashionable to actually have a band. Fucking who knew? You know, sounds better. People enjoy it more. They get more engaged. They can feel it. You can hear it in the PA. You know, it's not stacked. It's not 38,000 tracks running and stuff. You know. So yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I just want to play with everybody really, Ben, and have a good time, and then go and play with someone else.
Also, thanks so much, Bob. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me, and have a lovely day. Hopefully, I'll see you around.
100%.
All right.
Cheers, Bob. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, dudes.
Bye-bye.
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 There we go. There we go.
That wasn't as big as I thought it would be.
No. Do you want me to go big?
Yeah, go big.
And there we go. There we go. There we go.
I think just make it bigger every time we have a guest, you know?
Yeah.
Until you can't do it anymore. That was brilliant, I thought. it was
good. Eye-opening, good opinion.
I really enjoyed. What?
I think there's just a lot of honest viewpoints and opinions about the music industry and musicians, and all true. All true. Yeah. There's a phrase in darts.
Go on.
Yeah. Trebles for show, doubles for dough.
Right.
Does that make sense to you?
It does make sense, yeah.
Get all the trebles you want, sure. If you can't hit a double, you're not going to win the leg.
No, you're not.
And I don't know if this is a phrase or whether I'm just now on the fly converting it into a phrase appropriate for the drumming world. Fills for show, groove for dough.
Yeah. I think you just made that up, but it's true.
But it's great. It's really good.
Your words, yeah.
My words, great.
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to move back onto the gig we did together.
Oh, yeah.
Because, Georgie boy, you got to witness the hybrid kit.
Oh, yeah.
In action.
Yeah.
How'd you find it?
I don't know, because my in-ear pack started dying. So I think it was mainly cymbals towards the end. Because as we know, you have real cymbals and then the rest is electric kit when it's not a noise limiter room. It was very cool to hear, but I didn't get to hear it out front. And I'm sure if I heard it out front through the speakers, I'd be like, oh, this is cool. But I think I hadn't worked out.
You saw Neil's
how to
face, though, in sound check. He was like,
yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I think if I get my in-ears correct, then I'm aware of how cool it could be. But they were just, wasn't working. But it was cool to see it. Very cool to see it, you know. It looks like a real kit. You know,
certainly does.
But I filmed a little video of us playing, and I was going to put it on Instagram, but I thought I won't because it doesn't sound good because it's just all cymbals.
All cymbal, baby.
You know? And I was just like, you can't. And I'm not playing. That's why I was filming. So it's just you hitting cymbals for 15 seconds. I thought I'm not putting this on.
No.
But yeah, no, it's great. I mean, we can talk about it more in another episode. Discuss it in depth.
Yeah. When's this coming out? Thursday. Big time. So I've got a run of 3 gigs now, starting today when this episode comes out. Thursday, freshman year, Gloucester. Friday, Victoriana, somewhere. Saturday, over to the Isle of Wight, freshman year. Lovely little triple header.
Lovely little triple header, that. Nice.
So,
well, enjoy. But,
thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
let's wrap it up so you don't have to cut anything out of our chat with Bob.
Big time, big time, big time. Thanks very much for listening.
Yeah.
Go follow Bob. Go follow us if you don't already. You nutters.
Yeah, if you found out about us through this episode today, as I'm sure some people will, then yeah, go back and listen. We always joke, but then we meet people that do that, you know. Oh, I listened to your episode with Pat, and then I went back to the start, you know, which is amazing. Do that if you want, or don't. Just live your life.
No, do it.
It's fine.
No,
okay, yeah, do it. Yeah.
Formal instruction. Mandatory.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time. Have fun. Have a good week. If you're gigging, great. Go and enjoy yourself. Don't do too many flashy fills. Sit in that pocket. We'll see you next time. Bye, George.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Drum and Drummer. You can find us on Instagram at Drum and Drummer Podcast. And you can send us an email to drumanddrummerpod@gmail.com. Remember, just pick up the sticks and twat it.